Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, we're here to talk about what badges you should put your max +1 and +2s on in NBA 2K26. So, if you're new to the concept of max +2s and weren't around for the news and stuff that was a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month ago at this point, essentially what they've done is taken the max +1s from last year and made it now where it's a max +2 as well on top of that. So, you have the same exact existing thing from last year where you have a tier 1 badge and a tier 2 badge that are your max +1s, but they've duplicated it even more so to where there's a now max +2 of a tier 1 and a tier 2. Then on top of that, there's build specialization. So I hope y'all are ready for some rocket science. This gets pretty complicated, but you're gonna have to learn it at some point. It might as well be here, and I'm gonna try and do my best to be a good teacher to you guys. I was so surprised to see there's such few videos on YouTube talking about the max +1, +2s, and especially the build specialization as well. It's gonna be a complicated one, so be ready for a longer video that I'm gonna try and do my best to just give the best explanations possible on all of these things. So I hope you all enjoy the video, and if you do, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all good stuff, and like always, try to win 1,000 likes. So you're probably wondering, at what point in this video am I going to actually start helping you with things? Well, in tandem with 2K Labs, who, as you can see right here, has done all of the grunt work as far as like the things that you need to know in terms of what's a tier 2, what's a tier 1. I've taken that data, shout out to them once again. I really do appreciate it because it's what has provided me with my own information that I'm gonna also use. So just know their work was in the background of this, of me creating my own kind of images and stuff like that you'll see right here. So for instance, I'm showing you in today's video that everything between these heights that I'm showing you are tier 2 badges, or tier 2 is a badge that you get no matter what for any build on these ones down here, like Dimer, Immovable, Float Game, Aerial Wizard, Layup Mixmaster, and then tier 1 no matter what for every single build is things like Bailout, Deadeye. You'll never see these in a tier 2 no matter what build you look at. Set Shot Specialist, Physical Finisher, Unpluckable, Versatile Visionary on some crazy stuff too for that matter. Why is that a tier 1 on every single build? I don't know. Anyway, long story short, then we have in this top part right here the specialized kind of things that make a height specific to what they can provide. So for instance, 6'6" to 6'9" builds get Brick Wall and Paint Patroller. That's not all there is for things that are in this height range, just so you know though, because as you can see, I then still talk about how anything 6'8", which yes would have fit into this mold right here, can still get Lightning Launch. It's just that it doesn't, just because a 6'8" doesn't mean that a 6'6" or a 6'7" could have. So I want it to be specific to anything that you see is what you get. So I know that might be a little bit confusing, but pretty much what I'm trying to get at is that a 6'8" can fall into a lot of different molds right here. Like as you can see, a 6'8" gets Box Out Beast in tier 2. And again, just to remind you that anything in this category that you're seeing from right here where my cursor is, all the way up to right here where my cursor is, are tier 2 badges that are specific to the height range that I explained them to be in. Now, the only one I do want to clarify is different in that way is that 5'9" to 6'5" doesn't get anything really in particular that's special at all. So I just recommended that Layup Mixmaster or Dimer are probably gonna be the only ones that you really find yourself using a tier 2 on, even though those are on every single build. As you can see down here, I say Layup Mixmaster, Dimer in the tier 2 for all builds. So just want to clarify that this is a specific thing where yes, you can get it on every build, but I'm just suggesting a couple of options because anything that's 6'5" and below gets pretty much nothing special in terms of its tier 1, tier 2 capabilities. So let's move along a little bit in the video. I'm going to keep on getting more and more information into your brain, and it'll make a lot more sense as we continue into the complications of this right here. So just understand that we'll come back to that at the end of the video when I feel like everybody might be a little bit more, informed in that regard. Now, for 6'3" to 6'8", you get Box Out Beast in tier 2. Now mind you, a lot of these things that 6'8s get are really clean. Like for instance, 6'6" to 6'9" gets Brick Wall and Paint Patroller. So once again, 6'8 falls into that mold. 6'8 to 6'11 gets Lightning Launch and Challenger in tier 2. That's special, again, if you ask me. Now, what you're getting at, and you see a trend here, is that 6'8 falls into a lot of these, and it's why a lot of us YouTubers believe that 6'8s are going to be the most dominant build in general. Now, I'm not here to call it meta. I'm not here to say everybody and their mom is going to be loading up on a 6'8" and that you're going to see 3 of them on 3s in the park 24/7. But what I am saying is they are optimized the best in this game, it seems, between all types of things. The fact that their dribble style is the best for the exact speed with ball max they can get. The fact that they get a lot of good, ball handle sigs. They fall into a lot of these max +1, +2 slots. And again, because there are going to be, let's say at minimum, 2 tier 2s on your build as far as a badge that you're going to be upgrading, it's important that you have good tier 2 slots. Now, I do want to let you know that the build specialization ones you can put as a tier 1 for both. So you could have up to 4 tier 1 plus ones. Now, I want to talk about this real quick because I know people are going to start commenting this on the video at this point. I understand this is a bit of a paywall. It is pretty ridiculous, and it's kind of stupid that, you know, this is going to be something that is requiring us to either A, spend money to get the battle pass every season, or B, spend money to skip it and just like go all the way to the end of the pass. Now, I do want to, while I played one edge of the sword right there of saying that it's stupid that it's pay to win in a way, I do want to also say that in the battle pass, I've seen and I've done multiple times of getting that battle pass, you get nearly just as much VC off buying that as you eventually hit level 40 in the pass, on top of all the things that eventually come with it, like boosts, rewards, stuff like that. Obviously, it helps you get these plus ones. So if you're interested in it, I'm telling you right now, if you're going to spend VC on this game, make sure it's spent on the battle pass if you're an active player and you're someone that's willing to just, you know, consistently pump a little bit of VC in every season. You will get back nearly 70,000 VC compared to, at least, you know, in my experience of last season, is what would happen. And it's just as much money's worth of VC as you spend on the pass. Point being, don't spend like $10 on VC for no reason. Just spend $10 on the pass is essentially what I'm trying to say. Because you will make that $10 worth of VC through the pass eventually, while on top of that allowing yourself to maybe progress faster and get these type of things before the season ends. Because what you don't want to do is have the season end on you and then all of a sudden now you don't even have them, and by the time you did finally get them, the season's over in like 4 days. I'm sure y'all have been there. I'm sure you understand. And what I'm trying to tell you is spend your money smart on this game. And that is by buying the pass rather than just straight up ripping raw like $10 on VC or $20 on VC. That's just my suggestion. I'm trying to help you steer the path right here, and don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you that I think that's the best way to spend your money on the game is on the pass. So anyway, I know that's a long tangent, and it's we got a lot of stuff to talk about in the video. So again, just bear with me, please. I'm telling you, it'll really come together full circle in just a second here. But I do want to let you know, I wouldn't worry about this bottom left one, whether it's Clutch Gene or they have like some other ones that are going to be baked in based on what season it is and stuff like that. Don't worry about them too much. Honestly, these things are going to be passively changing, so it's not something you can depend on. And on top of that too, it only works for like a portion of the game. It'll be either at the very beginning of the game, the very end of the game, or only when you have takeover active or something like that. And that will change based on every season. So don't worry about that one too much. Let's just forget about that, because that'll just be some extra credit points that you'll find something decent to use for, but don't rely on it as far as something to build off of. And honestly, if you want to not rely on these to build off of in the first place, it's understandable, because like I said, there is a bit of a paywall to it, so, or play wall, if you will, in a way as well. But anyway, I'm here for the people that want to be informed on this, and if you are, then I just keep sticking with it. So again, it's going to be a tier 1, then tier 2, and then it can be anything between tier 1, tier 2. So you need at least 2 tier 2s that you're interested in if you want to have your max potential in the build. So the reason I'm getting at all that is because, as you can see, something like a 6.8 has very unique capabilities to it, where it could have Box Out Beast, Brick Wall, Paint Patroller, Lightning Launch, and Challenger. All 5 of those things as unique badges for tier 2 that is elite. And then on top of that, still have all of these tier 2s that every build gets, like Dimer, Immovable, Float Game, Aerial Wizard, Layup Mixmaster. So 6.8 is eating. It's getting so many good tier 2s, and you have a lot of options. Now, there are other builds too, like let's say a 6.9 through 6.11, something like that, can still get Lightning Launch, Challenger. 6.9 in specific can also get something like On-Ball Menace in tandem with running Lightning Launch or Challenger. So that's another thing that's unique to it. Or, for that matter too, can still get Brick Wall and Paint Patroller. So 6.9s are also eating, for that matter too. But where it gets kind of rough is especially the 6.5 and under builds, because as I mentioned, they get literally nothing. You could even argue builds that are like 6'6" and lower, because they really don't get a whole lot either, other than something like Paint Patroller and Brick Wall and then Box Out Beast. I think it really like turns up quite a bit eventually when you get to like this like middle height type kind of area. So naturally, the builds that are eating the most are probably around 6'8" to 6'11", I would say. Maybe even more so just 6'8" and 6'9", to be completely honest with it. Anyway, let's move along in our list right here. As you can see, 6'10" to 7 foot gets handles for days in a tier 2 slot. So that's very specific to them, where no other build in the game gets handles for days as a tier 2. It's either at 7'1", you just don't get it at all, or if you go 6'9" and below, it's a tier 1. if you guys start to kind of understand where I'm getting at here. I hope everybody's catching up to speed on this. If you're confused, I would say drop a comment, but I can't respond to you in real time like a teacher would in a classroom or something like that. So you might need to either rewind the video and like go back and try and understand this again, or maybe someone in the comments can help you understand it that has already left a comment as well. But point being is, again, 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. They're the only ones that can get handles for days in tier 2, and that applies to everything before it. If it says it, that's the only build in the game that gets it. All right, simple as that. 6'11 plus, as in anything 6'11 and taller gets posterizer tier 2. It's a really cool thing for slashers, for instance. If you're like playing like a Giannis style build and you got, let's say, 93 driving dunk, this is a real example of something you can get in the build, right? You can get 93 driving dunk on a 6'11. That gives you gold poster, and then you'll be able to max plus to it in your tier 2 on top of that. Like if you were to come over to this right here, right? You got a tier 2 max plus 2 gold posterizer would figuratively be in here, and it would be upgraded to legend. Simple as that, right? It skips the Hall of Fame and goes to legend. So it's like the perfect example of how you would utilize that on a build. Now, I'm not quite sure why I didn't mention it in the notes section right there, so bear with me on this just a little bit. But like at 7'1 plus, you start getting limitless in tier 2, so that's a really cool thing as well. Same with also for like 6'11, you get shifty shooter. Now if you go any taller than 6'11, you don't get shifty shooter anymore, so it's kind of like a unique height in that regard, where this is a very specific thing, because anything shorter than it doesn't get shifty in tier 2. However, if you're 6'11, you get shifty in tier 2, and then like I said, if you're 7 foot or taller, you don't get the badge in the first place. So it's a very unique height and play style in that regard. Now, the reason I have these color coded, I know some people aren't gonna like it. It's gonna confuse them. They might it might not even be your style in the first place. You might not like the color coding being on the screen, but it helps my brain a little bit, so I hope it helps yours. What I wanted to pretty much get at right here, and let's start with the shorter builds, is that I wanted to give you the badge color, if you will, like how yellow correlates with playmaking, obviously, green correlates with shooting, blue correlates with finishing, and then red correlates with defense. Purple is going to correlate with rebounding, and I asked a dev, but I haven't heard back yet as I'm recording this video. I don't know what brick wall falls under as far as the specialization, if you will, and like what archetype that is. So the reason I have these color coded, and now I'm going to pan back to this and explain it to you guys, is the build specialization that you choose right here between finishing, shooting, playmaking, defense, and rebounding. You are only going to be able to put in these slots in the bottom right here the category that you chose. So I know it probably sounded a lot more simple when I was like, oh hey, well, you get, you know, 2 max plus 1s, you get 2 max plus 2s, one of them has to be a tier 1, one of them has to be a tier 2, or 2 of them has to be a tier 1, 2 of them has to be a tier 2. Where this gets even more complicated is that if you choose shooting as your build specialization or something like that, or as a matter of fact, let me just connect the dots here in a more simple way. If you choose defense as your build specialization as a 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" lock or something like that, this is the type of outlook you're looking at. You're going to have something like on-ball menace, glove, and challenger as all of these heights a tier 1 badge. A lot of these, if you choose defense as your specialization, if you're a lockdown, you can get on-ball menace and challenger as your, you know, build specialization. These slots right here, you'll be able to put on-ball menace and challenger in both those 2 slots. Still put a max plus 2 in a tier 1, aka glove, for instance, or set shot specialist, because these ones don't matter based on your build specialization. So where I'm trying to get at right here is that if you have a lot of color code kind of coexisting, if you will, in the same tier, you might want to use that as your build specialization. So where this lines up perfectly is something like a 6'6" to 6'8" lockdown build. This is perfect. You have a lot of color coding, you know, corresponding right here, where again, you can't get all these tier 1 badges, because if it's tier 1, you could, like, you know, naturally put a tier 1 max plus 2 and a tier 1 max plus 1. But if you already put, let's say, you know, on-ball menace and glove in these slots right here, then you're going to run out of things to do for your specialization, because I just feel like naturally you're going to want to put the things that you do best in this spot. I guess pretty much what I'm trying to get at for you guys is that I think a good way to utilize your max plus 1s and plus 2s would be to use something like set shot, for instance, right? I would recommend set shot to be in one of these slots right here, whether you want a tier 1 max plus 2 it or tier 1 max plus 1 it, because then you could save these 2 spots right here for your actual defensive badges, because you could specialize in defense. And then whatever's left over after you decide which one you want to put set shot specialist in, you could put the other of these 4 in the other tier 1 slot. So that's 4 tier 1 badges that if you do properly with your specialization, you can actually just get all of them in like your +1 or +2. So again, I know y'all are gonna think I'm doing this a poor job at explaining this, but because it's so complicated, and if you had no idea how this worked before you clicked on this video, you're gonna have a hard time understanding it just off of me explaining it. But hopefully some of you guys really are getting it. But anyway, then even further to that point, you have to have at least 2 tier 2s, right? You have to have a tier 2 max +1 and a tier 2 max +2. So the same way I was just telling y'all that this lockdown build right here could get like 2 of these in the specialization category, and then 2 of them in the regular max +1 and +2 in the tier 1. These need to fill in the tier 2s. So let's say you could do immovable and paint patroller. In tier 2 max +1, you could put immovable, and then tier 2 max +2, you could put paint patroller. So now to connect the dots, right? Let's just say hypothetically a 6-8 lockdown build that only gets like gold on-ball menace, silver glove or something like that, and gold challenger, silver set shot specialist, and then like silver paint patroller, gold immovable, something like that, right? If you want a +1 immovable, boom, there's like, you know, Hall of Fame. Paint patroller going up from silver, boom, you +2 it all the way to gold, because you have to have a +1 and a +2 in the tier 2 slot right here. Then let's say you this is a lot of math and stuff, so just keep sticking with me, but you could +2 set shot, and then also +2 challenger from gold to legend, and then +2, you know, set shot from silver to Hall of Fame. Then you could +1 on ball menace from gold to Hall of Fame, and +1 glove from silver to gold. Long story short, that is so many badges that are just getting upgraded just because you were able to find a way to connect the dots of all 6 of these things, finding the right slot for them. Now, that it's not that simple, and what's crazy is that wasn't simple at all already, but it gets even more complicated at heights that don't have enough badges to really correspond with all those things. So it's like I was just telling y'all, right? Like for small guards, I think what you're inevitably going to do is max +1 and +2 layup mixmaster and dimer. I think those 2 being in the tier 2 slots, that's the best you can do if you ask me. So this slot right here is going to get taken up by dimer or something like that, and this one's going to get taken up by layup mixmaster. So then, however, the 4 badges that are remaining right here between limitless, handles for days, unpluckable, and shifty shooter, all 4 of those badges can go in specialization slot 1, specialization slot 2, tier 1 slot 1, and then tier 1 slot 2 for the max +2, right? So point being is you want to kind of find a connection right here. You want to find like 2 playmaking and specialize in playmaking, right? So that you can just put your playmaking +1 here, playmaking +2 here. Because what's going to happen is if you were to, I'm going to give you an example of how you could screw this up essentially, right? Between your tier 1 max +2 and your tier 1 max +1, if you were to take limitless and handles for days and plug those in, right? And put limitless here and handles for days here, when you specialize in either shooting or playmaking, now whichever one you didn't choose that, like, you know, could double up, if you will, whether it's 2 greens or 2 yellows in this, like, you know, simplified form, you're gonna miss out on that now, because now when you specialize in playmaking, you can't get shifty anymore because you already used, you know, something in that line. Anyway, I guess the simple way of me trying to explain this is make sure that your specialization optimizes the fact that you have a lot of tier 1s that have like some corresponding need. So make it so you just specialize in playmaking and put handles for days as a +1, unpluckable as a +2, so that way you can put shifty as a natural +2 right here in this slot, and then put something like limitless range in the +1 in tier 1, something like that. So that's a decent example of how you can make the most out of 6 badges right here, because 2 of them have to be tier 2, and then 4 of them could be tier 1, but 2 of them have to be the same archetype essentially. So hey, I'll say this much: when I saw the builder drop, I was disappointed because I thought it was gonna be the same exact game in the same exact way, and I was like ranting about it. And then Evan, the community manager, told me, like, and he quoted it on Twitter, and he said, don't undersell the value you YouTubers can have as far as like influencing people's builds. The specialization is going to be a huge like mix up of people not knowing what's going on. He was so right. He was so right about it right here. Because man, a couple of days ago, I didn't even have the slightest clue how this worked because I wasn't really paying attention. Same way that you clicking on the video might not, obviously. So what I'm trying to get at here is don't feel bad about not understanding this fully. Just anything that you're learning here is at least a positive. So, and I assume a lot of you guys have actually like fully grasped everything I'm saying as well. So I'm hopeful and glad for those that does apply to. Now, again, I have archetypes here because I think there's like a build, like a foundation that I'm trying to get at for a lot of you guys. Also, unfortunately, I had one little bit of a typo right here. This is false information. The only one that you get lightning launch in a tier 2 for is the 6-8 point forward. So you don't actually get lightning launch for 6-6 and 6-7s. So this is incorrect in this way, but obviously still consider this for if you are a 6-8 point forward, you could get lightning launch in tier 2, then still run something like Dimer in the other tier 2, or Layup Mixmaster, and then you'll run something like Handles for Days and Unpluckable together in the tier 1 for you know, the combination of doing stuff as well. For the 6-6 and 6-7s, you could, and again, this is just for the point forwards. If you're a 6-6 and a 6-7 that is a lockdown, reference this one more so, like the, you know, the lock kind of oriented one. I'm just giving like a archetype kind of, you know, foundation is all I'm trying to do with these little best combos per archetype sort of deal, right? Like, just because you're a 6-4 guard that's a lockdown doesn't mean you have to apply to these in specific. You would like go on your own as far as like, you know, your own way of doing things. But anyway, once again, just a little bit of foundation for you to play off of here. I would assume these are a lot of the tier 1s you're going to want to play with. Keep in mind though, what's really important of what I'm telling you guys in today's video is the tier 2s. Like, I really want to come back to this one and reference real quick. These are the types of things that are super important for your information, is figuring out what can your build get for tier 2s, because that's what you have to put. And it's kind of wasted value if you can't get good tier 2s, but just understand with some of these builds, once again, just comes the fact that you can't have good tier 2s. Again, with like anything 6-5 and below, most 6-7s and stuff don't really get anything good and below either. So just understand, for you, it might not really apply quite as much, but it may influence the type of build you want it to make. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to set you up with the best stuff you possibly can get at here, because for those of you who might be thinking you want to make a 6-6 lockdown, it's possible that this may influence your decision and you want to make a 6-8 instead, because you're planning to be a little bit more of like a two-way. And the fact that you can get lightning launch in tier 2 instead of tier 1 could make all the difference in the world for you. So I'm just, you know, putting this out there into existence to like help you a little bit. But again, remember that like this is all based off what you want to do with your build. Anyway, moving along, because it's going to be a long one. Let's just keep it moving. 6-8 undersized center. So like the type of pure slasher build that I'm trying to get at right here, and this is a very niche one, so I won't spend too much time on it. But for like me, for instance, I would have poster, rebound chaser, and interceptor in the tier 1s that I can choose between. And then in the tier 2, I have a lot of stuff to play with. So like box out beast, paint patroller, brick wall, lightning launch, all these things correlate with the way that I want to play. If anything, I almost have too many tier 2 badges, and I might even find myself putting a tier 2 badge in one of these build specialization things, realistically. Like, if I were to specialize in defense, I could just put interceptor and paint patroller in the specialization slots, and then instead use my tier 1 ones on the rebound chaser and poster, and then use the tier 2s on, let's say, box out beast, paint patroller, or my bad, box out beast and brick wall, something like that. And then not to mention that these are interchangeable. So if I were playing as a role player, I could have a, you know, tier 2 brick wall in one of the slots, and then swap that out for lightning launch as an example, if I were playing on 2s and playing as more of a ball handler essentially, and didn't want the brick wall anymore. So this is going to have a lot of interchangeable kind of like ability to it. Just keep that in mind. For the 6-9, this is tough. This is so nasty. So tier 1, interceptor and glove. Tier 2, on ball menace and challenger. Now, mind you, that I think where this gets diminished a little bit is the fact that since all 4 of those are defensive badges, you probably would find yourself specializing in them anyway. But let's say you were to specialize in defense and went with interceptor and glove, for instance, right, in the specialization categories. And then for the tier 2 badges, you could max +2 challenger or on ball menace, and then max +1 the other one, both in the tier 2 slots. Then you could even do something like set shot specialist as another tier 1 upgrade, because again, you're putting the specialization ones in the interceptor and glove value. So then you still have like 2 more tier 1s that you could put. One's a max +1, one's a max +2. Set shot specialist is something that comes to mind, and I guess you could find something else as well. I should have put more options. I just wanted to put like the really important information up at the top here. Okay, so real quick, I do want to give a quick reminder to everybody too, though, that brick wall, I am not sure yet. I already said this earlier in the video, but I just want to remind you, or if anybody skipped and is just now hearing it, I'm not sure what build specialization brick wall falls under. So for now, I would plan around just using this as a natural +1 or +2 in a tier 1 spot, but if it ever comes out that it's part of rebounding, this is where you could double up on something like Brick Wall and Rebound Chaser being in a build specialization together, right? As one of them being +1, one of them being +2. So we don't know yet for sure how to go about that. So I just want to, you know, leave that in your court as far as something that you have to keep in mind. Anyway, with that said, let's move along. So 610. Let's talk about like the point centers, right? Because this is the type of style I feel like it's going to correlate with a lot. And again, maybe I'm a little bit too biased in the slasher style, so I'm not putting things like set shot specialists in the tier 1. But remember, fellas, like you don't get set shot specialists as a +2 anywhere, or as a tier 2 anywhere. So just use your imagination a little bit. Understand that some things might not correlate with your play style of what I put on the list, but like, come on. I mean, set shot specialist is a tier 1 for everybody. So if that fits into your slot, just, you know, hypothetically, put it there. Simply put. But anyway, so for like point centers like me though, where if you're playing as a slasher, things like Brick Wall, Rebound Chaser, Poster, and Rise Up, all tier 1. Now last year, in the way that the build system worked, I would have only been able to choose one of these at a time. Now, because of the way it works, I could specialize in finishing, put Posterizer and Rise Up in the +1, +2 slots for the specialization, still get Brick Wall and Rebound Chaser, or again, if it's rebounding for that the Brick Wall is correlated with, you could do the opposite way. Either way, point is, if that ends up being purple per se, you'd have like 2 things that have synergy with being able to put in the actual specialization slot. So anyway, point being is you could have all 4 of these because you could put them in the tier 1, tier 2, tier 1, tier 2 of, you know, the +1, +2, and then +1, +2 of these right here as well. But point is, you can just put this in tier 1, and then specialization, essentially, is the way I'm trying to say it. And then what's left is you have the tier 2s, and that would be like Lightning Launch and Challenger. I mean, does that not sound like a goated point center combo right there? You get all of these badges, either +1 or +2, and then another set of like, you know, tier 2s right here, +1 or +2. So you could come out here with like Bronze Lightning Launch, right? And instead just put it in the max +2 slot for the tier 2. Boom, now you're up to Gold Lightning Launch, and you can put Challenger from Silver to Gold as well. Or my bad, I was looking at the wrong one. But yeah, Challenger from Silver to Gold as well with the +1. And then like buff your Brick Wall up, buff your Rebound Chaser up, Poster, Rise Up, all at least 1 or 2. You know, 2 of them can go up 1, 2 of them can go up 2. So that's like great synergy right there as well. 610 eating good, especially like the slasher type build as well. So this type of system is very good news for me. It works out so perfectly with the 6.8 and 6.10 that I'd be planning to make. So I'm hyped for sure. But understandably, the small guards probably aren't, because they don't get anything, and the tier 2 is worth literally anything. But anyway, move along. 611. This is where something like the tier 2 last year worked out really good, right? Because you can get like a tier 1 Rise Up while also having tier 2 Poster, because they only had 2 slots. So, and it was only +1s for that matter too. So the game has changed quite a bit. Like it's going to be a big difference compared to last year as far as using these +1s and stuff like that. Because again, last year you would have been really happy about having a tier 2 Poster and a tier 1 Rise Up, because they'd be split away from each other. For instance, the 610 couldn't run Rise Up and Poster at the same time. Now they can though. So it doesn't make it as cool that a 611 gets a tier 2 Poster, but the fact that you have something as valuable as Posterizer and Challenger in your tier 2 slots works out pretty good. Because again, you would be able to use all 3 of these right here and find another tier 1 that fits your fancy as well, obviously. So again, it's probably more of like a you'd have to find a tier 1 that correlates with any build. So let's come back to this. It would be something like this, like Physical Finisher or Unpluckable or something like that. You know what I mean? For the 611 Giannis style right there. So anyway, let's move along. For the 611 stretch, you can get all 4 of these. It's going to be kind of crazy. Like you're going to be able to get Limitless, Deadeye, Set Shot, and Shifty Shooter. And then even another 1 or 2 on top of that as well. So again, all of these badges being able to go up +1 and +2 is going to make for this game to be so crazy and kind of arcadey for that matter, but I think that's okay. I think that's going to be fun, and it's going to let people really like just be cracked in whatever they want to be like super good at. And we don't know, to be fair, how the specialization is going to work yet. I should have mentioned that earlier in the video, but let me come back to this real quick to actually explain this to you guys. So the specialization, you're going to have to unlock through a pretty extensive way of going about things currently. So this is going to be hard to get, but they're permanent. I should really talk to you guys about this part of it. So essentially, for each save, you can pick 1 of 5 specializations in finishing, shooting, playmaking, defense, or rebounding. Each area features blah, 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 9 quests and stuff like that. Long story short, it's going to be very hard for you to get, because it says if you choose the shooting quest line, for example, your second quest will be to make 100 3-pointers or mid-range shots. Now, you can do this in my career on top of that, so they're low-key going to be like kind of easy to get. It just might be like time-consuming, which is, you know, a little bit of a tough scene, but I don't know. Or if you're someone that wants to just grind it out through playing the game naturally, I guess you could do that as well. But there might be some that are like per game things as well, so just keep that in mind. Like, some of them you really might have to do my career for it to be like something you can depend on easily doing. But not to mention, you have to reach like a bare minimum requirement. So like for centers, it's going to be a little bit harder to do if you're a tall guy, because like you have to have at least 60 ball handle and 60 pass act, which you might not achieve. If you were someone that wanted to go with like a 55 3-point shooting build and think you were going to cheese like buffing your badges, you have to have at least 60 3-pointer and 60 mid-range. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, that's kind of besides the point. I just wanted to at least bring that up to y'all, that the specialization slots, they're not guaranteed off the rip or anything like that. Like, even if you paid for the season pass to get maxed out or anything like that, you technically can't even have them yet, because you have to unlock those through actually grinding, which I think is gonna be fun. It's gonna kind of bring back a feel of like the what was it called back in the day, the grand badge and stuff like that, kind of, at least a little bit, kind of a feel like that of actually grinding in career for something, but that actually helps you in PvP. So I don't know, we'll see if it's fun or not. It's probably more fun for shooters, to be fair. It's gonna be way easier to get in my career than like rebounds or freaking blocks or something like that is gonna be. I don't know. For the defenders out there, you're probably gonna play it more naturally through just playing park and rec center and stuff like that. But anyway, moving along to the 7-footer kind of center archetypes, if you will, and this is going to kind of apply to 7-1s, pretty much the same as well, is you could run something like poster if you're fitting that style, but more than likely it's probably going to be something like aerial wizard, high flying denier in your tier 2 slots, and then you're going to be looking at getting all 4 of these. Now, remind you, my bad for not color coding rebound chaser as white, I don't know why, or purple right here, I don't know why I didn't do that. There's just some screw ups here, and I do apologize for them, but obviously I'm not trying to go through and double, triple check for like the 14th upload I'm doing. I'm not going to rant, but you know what I'm saying. It's a lot of stuff I'm doing these days, and it's a lot of editing and title, tag, description, stuff like that. Anyway, let's get back on track. Rebound chaser obviously in the purple, so you're probably looking more along the lines of like, if brick wall is defense, pair it with paint patroller. If brick wall is rebounding, pair it with rebound chaser, you know? So you can specialize in either of those and then do like rise up paint patroller as the other tier 1s, and then get like aerial wizard, high flying denier. I mean, these are going to work out pretty good for a lot of taller builds, anything above 6'8", as we've already mentioned a lot, you know, so like that's already a pretty easy one to understand. And again, one last reminder, fellas, just because I don't have it on the list right here doesn't mean it's not here. If you can get aerial wizard, if you can get layup mixmaster, float game, immovable, dimer, anything like that, you can literally get that in the tier 2 slot for any build. It doesn't have to be showing right here or anything like that. So just understand that. I'm just giving suggestions of things that might fit you like decently. But anyway, for the 7-1 stretch, they get an interesting set of tier 1s of Deadeye and Set Shot being in here, same way that the 611 essentially does, but you get Limitless in tier 2. Now, this was cooler last year again because you're able to run Limitless plus Deadeye at the same time, or Limitless plus Set Shot at the same time. Thing is, this year it makes it so that's a little bit more useless, you know. It doesn't matter that it's a tier 2 because you really could just run a whole bunch of tier 1s together because of the specialization and the fact that there's 2 slots for the, you know, tier 1s, whether it's a +2 or a +1. So 7-1 stretch takes a little bit of a hit if you ask me, and like the same thing can correlate to 7-2 if you'd like to as well, so just understand that. 7-1 plus in general, you get all these badges in tier 2, so like high flying denier, interceptor, limitless, posterizer, off ball pest, immovable, float game, stuff like that. So limitless is a tier 2 badge for every single build that's 7-1 and above, so you can do like pretty much the exact same loadout at 7-1, 7-2, 7-3, and 7-4, so just understand that essentially. So anyway, that is all for our like kind of archetype thing right there. I think I just want to come back to this real quick to give you guys a little bit more perspective while we just kind of talk over this and end the video. But yeah, just keep in mind, a lot of what's important is what can you get in tier 2, and that's a lot of what's on this list right here, and then right here at the bottom as well. Again, tier 1s that never change depending on any build you are, no matter what height or anything like that. They're always tier 1 is bailout, Deadeye, physical finisher, Set Shot Specialist, Unpluckable, and Versatile Visionary. So yes, I might have missed some of these in the list. Like if you were someone that saw some random build, right, that I showed as an example, like the point forward, for instance, seeing the tier 1 slot, you're like, what else do I put as tier 1, bro? I don't got anything else that you showed me. Bailout, stuff like that, you know, like boom, just throw it in the tier 1. Like you can still get stuff like that. It's just, I'm not like, I wasn't super spending 7 hours cooking this build up for people who are just gonna tell me I'm explaining it to them wrong. You know, so I'm trying to give you guys a pretty easy like synopsis of like me putting it together, while also like explaining the groundwork of you understanding that you can go to the 2K Lab website and look at some of this stuff yourself as well. If you see a 1, it's a tier 1. You see a 2, it's a tier 2. You can literally come down here, sort it by turning off all, look for a build height that you want in specific. 6'8", you're like, oh, 6'8" can get high flying denier tier 2. LakerFan told me that, but I forgot. So, boom, yeah, it's all you. Immovable, tier 2. You know, brick wall, tier 2. Box out beast, tier 2. Aerial wizard, tier 2. So, if you got any more questions or, you know, things about your build in specific that you don't know, feel free to come to the website and, you know, just use this tool right here. It's for free. It's not even the premium. However, if you want the premium, here's the plug. Also, in case you guys didn't know, I'm teaming up with NBA 2K Lab again this year, and like always, they have the best statistical jump shots on their website, put a ton of time into the labbing of those, and on top of that, have exact visual cues now for those jump shots they recommend to you. So first, they find the exact best jump shots and put them into the data that you can use if you buy the premium. Then, on top of that too, they have the ability to even just practice the jump shot if you don't want to sit in the my court, wait for a ball return, or for that matter, even have to track down your own ball. And if you're not someone that wants to use the most meta jump shot of like the best green window and the absolute fastest, what you can do is plug your controller into your PC and shoot 10 shots of what feels comfortable to you, and they'll recommend you one of the jump shots that they've created as well. And again, this is a huge feature right here, the ability to take one of the custom jump shots they've recommended to you and find the exact release point of it and know exactly when to let go of your button on the controller or when to let go of the ball in your player's hands, obviously. And on top of that too, even do motion style tests, and they've got rankings of a ton of dribble moves. So if you want to check this out, like I said, go to NBA2KLab.com or the link in my description and put code LAKER for your promo code. This is going to save you about $1 per month or up to $2 depending on what length of subscription you decide to get. So when you come over to the website, you can hit the sign up tab, come over to the length of subscription you'd like to sign up for, and then hit register. And then when you do hit register, it'll create a coupon code, and you just are going to put in code LAKER right here if you'd like to as well. Now you guys absolutely feel free to sign up for whatever length of subscription you would like to do, but if you want to help me out, I make a percentage based off of the initial subscription price that you pay. So for instance, if you were to get the monthly, I'd only make a percentage off the $7.99, but if you were to do the yearly, I'd make the percentage off of that. So again, feel free to do whatever you'd like to. I don't want to pressure you any which way, but if you want to help me out just in specific, I'd really appreciate that as well. So I hope y'all enjoying the video. Let's get right back to it, but one last time, if you want to subscribe to the NBA 2K Lab Premium, just use code LAKER at checkout for 20% off. Anyway, that's all. Let's get back to the video now. Anyway, that's all for video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, all that good stuff. Like always, tries 1 to 1,000 likes. And if you made it to the end of the video, put not specialization, that's way too long. Put build in the comments to support your way through, or you could put +1, +2 if you'd like to as well. I don't know. They might think of that as spam because it's not actual text, but we'll see. I don't know. You can put whatever you want to show your support your way through, or you can just say, "Hey Laker, I made it to the end of the video." How about that? Anyway, that's all video. I apologize. This one was not as clean as it could have been, but again, it's because it would have taken me like literally 10 hours to put every single thing fully detailed, every archetype. Oh, you're a point forward, you're a lockdown, you're a 6'8 lockdown, a 6'6 lockdown, a 6'7 lockdown. Like, you get what I'm saying? A lot of it is kind of built in generalizations and trying to steer you into the right path of figuring out what's right for you without, you know, holding your hand the whole way through it. So I hope this video was helpful. I assume it was helpful. And for a lot of y'all out there that don't know about the specializations or, you know, the max +1, +2 and all that stuff, I hope this actually helped you a lot. If you want to check out the takeovers and stuff like that as well, speaking of complications, we're going to talk about that. While you're here and you didn't know it or anything like that, Rebirth, by the way, and you hit 95 overall, you get all your badges all the way up, like when you get that. If you hit 90 and do a Rebirth, you only get it silver. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. Hit 95 and every build you make from there on doesn't need to grind badges anymore. This courtside report was big time information that I was just not, you know, on the 2K for at the time quite as much. But anyway, yeah, I would study up on this a little bit if I were you guys. If you have a build in mind that you really want to make, figure out what kind of slots this is going to fit into for you. And again, I will acknowledge once again that paywall is pretty tough. It's not the craziest paywall though. I mean, you could spend like, I don't know, $10 on it every season, and like I said, it'll give you VC back for like when you do hit level 40 inevitably. So I play both sides of the sword right here because I do understand. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business too. They're gonna do what they can to make money, and if it's something that they can pique enough people's interest with, they're gonna take advantage of it, obviously. And I'm not gonna lie, it piques my interest. They'll probably get money off me, you know what I'm saying? But I do apologize to those who see me as like spending money on something like this as a negative thing, or being the antagonist, if you will. I apologize. It's just I mean, it's interesting and I'm willing to spend the money on it because I think it's going to be fun. So I don't know, people can spend their money how they want and don't judge people for doing so. Especially that goes for other people in the comments too. If like people are excited about something, don't shoot them down just because you don't think it's something that you want to spend your money or time on. I mean, at the end of the day, I made this video and obviously continued making this video for people that think it's going to be fun and wanted to figure out how to use this properly. I do apologize though that there's something like this in the game that if you're not going to spend any money at all, it's going to be another thing that like kind of makes it harder for you to play the game. So I can play both sides and I understand, the truth of both. So I just wanted to say that at the end of here. Anyway, it's all video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you got any more questions, leave them in the comments. Check through the comments. Try and see if you can find something that helps you. But other than that, hope you enjoyed. Take it easy, man. Peace.